Hello there sexy PlayStation gamers, and welcome back to another pure PlayStation video review, and this time we're diving into Pixel Ripped 1995 for PSVR. Back in 1995 I'd have been a young boy around 5 years old. The console in my house would have been a Sega Mega Drive, and I'd have been playing Sonic the Hedgehog, Streets of Rage and possibly Bubsy, back when his name wasn't Mud. I'd have probably had a really bad bowl haircut too. Pixel Ripped 1995 takes us back to those simple days of gaming, where small screens were fine, a few buttons were enough, and parents were still convinced that video games were cancer-causing agents, hell-bent on turning us innocent kiddies into mass-murdering psychos. Alright, not everything has changed on that front then. Before we carry on with this review, please take a moment to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below and hit that bell notification so that you can be updated whenever we've got new stuff for you to watch. Helps us, helps you. Back to the review. Pixel Ripped 1995 is a very cool game, and it serves as a homage to the early days of gaming, but it uses the most modern medium available to do it. It's fascinating and brilliant all at once, and even though I didn't really play the first game, and that's a mistake I will soon correct, I had a great time with Pixel Ripped 1995. In the Pixel Ripped 1995 universe, video game worlds are very much real. The game starts with you in a monochrome, old-school Game Boy style room, playing a handheld game. But you're in the game, and you're playing a game inside the game. Meta. Soon, the walls shift and you're suddenly in a world of colour and slightly better graphics. Welcome to 1995, baby! The game's hero, Dot, needs to save her world from the evil Lord Sibling, though it's not an easy task. The evil Lord Sibling soon tricks our hero Dot, causing mayhem and chaos. Dot needs to team up with the best player in the world, and that player is David, a 9-year-old boy from New Jersey, not a fat basement dweller with a neck full of beard. Weird. The first level starts off in a very familiar setting. An old school TV stands before you, slightly higher than eye level, forcing you to tilt your head backwards to look up at the screen. I thought this was a nice touch. If it was intentional, great stuff. Because it had me sat there, head tilted back a little bit, and I felt like a little boy playing on his games again. It was fantastic. To the side, there's a console resting on a box, and the floor is littered with bits of rubbish, game magazines and game boxes. It's a near perfect recreation of my childhood gaming den, and it even comes complete with a nagging mum. She doesn't like that David plays video games so much, and during this first level she's constantly turning the game off. This is probably the most realistic and relatable thing to ever happen inside of a video game. Honestly, I remember my parents coming in, "Hey Chris, what's this button do?" Boom, gone. Annoying. The games that David plays throughout the story are based on hits from the era, so you've got a Legend of Zelda style game, a Street Fighter wannabe, a Sonic knockoff and more. I'm not going to spoil the surprises though, because they are genuinely fun little nods, and it's cool to see them playing out on the screens inside the game. And not knowing what's coming next, that's all part of the fun. The big question is though, how does this all work inside the PSVR's headset? How does it control? Pixel Ripped 1995 is controlled completely with the DualShock 4 controller, and your in-game avatar, David, always has a controller to hand. It's simple enough and it works well, but it can be a little bit shaky at times due to the nature of the PSVR's tracking. Still, it was never unplayable, but it did get a little bit awkward at times. During some sections of the game and some boss battles, you need to use your in-game hands to do other tasks rather than hold the controller, like shoot a toy gun, throw bananas, change gamepads or turn off the TV, and it's here that things got a little bit fiddly, as you need to release one hand from the in-game controller, and yeah, it causes a bit of a disconnect between what's going on in your head and what's going on in your hands, because in real life, you can't take your hands off the controller. And you still need to move your arms around inside the game by moving the controller around. It can be a bit confusing, but once you get your head around it, it's fine. But the first few times, yeah, it's a bit of a nuisance. Though it's not terrible, I did find myself a little bit jealous of my colleague Jeremy, who on our sister site, Pure PSVR, he got to review the game on the Oculus Quest using the touch controllers, and that must have felt a little bit more natural. There's plenty of fun to be had with Pixel Ripped 1995, and although it's not a very long game, around 5 hours by my count, I didn't feel hard done by when the credits rolled. Graphically, Pixel Ripped 1995 is a winner. The in-game worlds are nicely done and the few human characters that make up the cast are well acted. The dad character was a particular highlight for me, if only because he reminded me of how my dad was when I was a kid and how I am now, a bumbling fool trying to stay hip with the kids by staying interested in video games. Yay. And that brings us to the end of the review. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, give it a like, maybe subscribe, and we'll be back with more in the very near future. Until then, bye!